68% of the products fail due to no wireframe structured properly during their development time. 4x time of revision is happening in a product development life cycle because of wireframes is not made properly at the early stage of design. 70% of the designers skip this process. In fact, wireframe reduces the feedback cycle by up to 50%. People don't know it, particularly people like SaaS-based companies where B2B, a lot of dashboards are connected each other. Wireframes can fasten up their process by 35%. The point is, designers don't take care of this. They wanted to jump into the visuals directly. If you're someone who's in that mindset, you're making a mistake and you and your team is making that mistake, this video is exactly for you. Super happy, guys. I wanted to tell you that we are getting into the skeletal system of our body, and we've been learning the design through the different body parts what we are going through. And I want to tell you that each and every week we have a system for a human body to take. The first system what we took is a skeletal. We are covering about the wireframes, the user flow, the kind of information architecture and hierarchy frameworks, a lot of things we've been discussing. On the day one we saw about information architecture, day two we saw about user flow, today we are going to see about wireframes. It's one of the most interesting topic. Okay, so I told you in the beginning of the video, 68% of the product fail because the wireframe stage is not carefully taken care by the design process. SaaS based companies can make 35% faster product development lifecycle if it is wireframed properly before the product development lifecycle happens. And it can even reduce your feedback times to up to 50%. It is close to double time of the product development lifecycle. Many revisions can be avoided. The effort and the time of a designer can be saved. So that is the meaning why wireframes are very important. Okay, what is this wireframe? It's exactly the blueprint before you start building a building, right? So this is like a skeletal system of our body, which is making us like a human, right? Okay, like a bone, structured skeletals form the overall form of the body. So this is all connected through some kind of a frames, I would say in general. So same like that, an application or a website or something like a, like let's say a mobile app or anything, it does need to have a wireframe. If it doesn't have the wireframe, then what happens is you will not be able to guide the user to work on a specific navigation path. So the wireframe connects different frames and you check the possibility before getting into the final high fidelity mockup for building out your solution. Actually, it represents no styles or colors, font, nothing. It just provides you the representation, a layout, overall, and a flow. Why it is not having any colors is this is to make sure the focus is only remaining on the flow of the product, how people can able to use it. It's as simple as that. Many people don't understand this concept. They just want to build random screens without even jumping into the process. So, wireframes is a part of the design process which is making you think clearly what your user is requiring, how he is navigating, how you can choose your flow correctly so that the user is getting the exact intention of using that application. You are not misguiding them. In fact, it is a feedback for you also as a designer to guide the user in a minimal steps to reach his destination. Very simple as that. Okay. So, what is this history of wireframes? Actually, it was evolved from task modeling. In 1980s, people started with this paper sketches, and after over time, I would say 2000 2010, it became like a digital UI UX process. And it also become like a very big tool for the designers to really make it. I would say IDEO, like let's say Frog Design Studio, like let's say Apple, Google. So all these people started using wireframes and sketching and brainstorming as one of the major activity for doing the clarity towards the design thinking process. Okay. And it is referenced by About Face in the UX book. You can also see that. So this is a little history and the context of this wireframe, and you all must be guessing it why it's very important. I mean, I don't have to tell you. It saves time, clarifies thinking. Mainly this is a very important point, I would say. It's speeding up the client work. Have we already discussed high in agile environment? Like let's say when you're working in some kind of a fast based product development where the agile requirement is there, where you're very fluidic towards your development process. Okay, you fluidic. Okay, you tend to require this kind of a wireframe skill set. It increases the collaboration between your product development team. Okay, it is very important to understand this major aspect before jumping into wireframe. The big problem with designers is they don't understand wireframes is not the final screen. Please understand that wireframes is to clarify your thinking. It's too early people jump into visuals. I already said that. See, using color frame colors, typeface, or maybe style guides, gradients, all these things is a waste of time, because again you'll have to redo it. After the revision is done, or the top management probably wants something else. It is actually they are mistaking it the layout for design, because they are getting confusion. Oh, is this a final solution has to look like? You are already biased towards this is like a solution will look like. You are not in the exploratory creative ideation method, an exploratory method to check whether this frames and wireframes will work or not. Rather, designers put their mind saying, hey, this is how the final product should look like, and then they convert that exact wireframes into solution. No, you should not use any annotation, hierarchy, all these things. Then only it will be more clear. Okay. Okay, Jagdish, so what is this main concepts for? See, wireframes is basically the content zones. Like, let's say where and how you want to keep this content inside your mobile app or a website or anything like that. Second, it is also a placeholder for your typeface, for your heading, for your subheading, right? And mainly your call to actions, your buttons, your interactions can be well planned, particularly in the gray out region. And also you can have a hierarchy, like let's say the user has to go through a z pattern, the user has to go through 1 2 3, the user has to go upside down, so you tend to decide that flow navigation, and then you annotate the interaction notes for it so that it becomes easy for the person also to develop it or maybe design it in an even more detailed way. I'd like to show you one important content for you. Okay, recently I've been creating one wireframe. Okay, I'm just showing that example for you so it will be very easy for you. Okay, I've created this Relium application where you can go through this part of the process. So I want to show you this. Okay, I'm just clicking this project which I've just recently created. So this is a tool called Relium. Okay, so what I did is I gave a little prompt over here. Like this is a section for the prompt. If you want, I can add more sections also. So the moment when I give a prompt, like let's say, hey, create a wireframe for this particular project, what happened is it created it. Okay, I'm just going to this structure called wireframes. Can all of you see this? Can all of you see this? This is exactly how the wireframe will look like. A grayscale, no big placeholders, no big brand guidelines, no big gradients. The reason why, because still the iteration is going on. Still the iteration is going through. Okay. We are not sure whether this button is going to be still here or not. Okay. We could still replace it, not a problem. But we have to know, hey, do we have to really move this content over here? Or do I have to change it here? Okay. So each and every aspect has to be decided whether the picture can be placed over here or not. Okay, see the picture has been moved here. So each and every decision for your management can be taken only when you or wireframes are very clear in the preliminary level. You could directly ask me, why don't we spend time in building the final product? Design process is always iterative in nature. Please remember that point. If you're not able to understand the design process iterative, probably you've not touched any real world project and worked on it. You need to highly, you need, I'm highly recommending you to work on it, because when you do the real projects only, you'll come to know, oh, is this the only possible way the user is operating this UI? No, there are multiple ways how we can think through it, how we can brainstorm it. You will also be in a position to decide that. That is why the wireframe is very, very important to do the iterative process. Let me also show you, if you're someone very new in this design, if you're not sure how to create the wireframes around it. In fact, you could remember this chart, right? We have created for our user flow journey. Okay. But now what I'm going to create is I'm going to be using this option. Okay, just a second. I don't need to upgrade. Free version is also available. Okay. I can take this old process. Okay. You remember this? We had discussed in the last. Just in case if you have not watched our earlier videos, please go back and watch the day two. Okay. So here I can also create something like this prototype. Can all of you see this? I can definitely do a prototype with this. But before that, I would like to go for something called wireframes. For this, I'll click this option. I'm saying this is for the people who wanted to really build something cool for their own stuff without any much knowing any visual prototyping tools. Okay. Let's do this. You just drag and drop. Can all of you see here? Can all of you see here? You'll see the wireframes for your mobile coming in. From here, you can keep adding your text. Hey, here my paragraph can look like. Like let's say payment app. Okay, here is my heading can look like. Here my subheading can look like. Here I can put my first option. Here I can put my call to action. Imagine. Okay, so you're just trying to brainstorm very clearly. Again, you don't have to keep it in green. You can just keep it in the grayscale if you just still wanted to use it as a mid fidelity or low fidelity wireframe. Let's come to the types little later. Okay, so the moment when you click this, okay, the moment when you click this, you also tend to see you can connect these wireframes through a dots. Like let's say you can also connect this. Okay, just give me a second. You don't have to mirror prototypes. Prototype is not required. Ideally, it should come. I'm not sure why it is not coming. Or else you can simply go and use shapes to connect. Like let's say if you need to open these shapes, you can add this and just connect this part. That's it. So when your user presses this button or something, you can just move this call to action and you can see. In fact, if you want, you can connect this to this wireframe. Okay, you can just connect it to this so that you can communicate to your design team that when user presses this interaction, he gets to interact with this. What is going to happen in the second screen? Maybe probably he will get another call to action. Maybe he will get something like a input field, or maybe something he gets some kind of an icon like this. You can keep on building your wireframes accordingly. If you want, you can put some icons. If you want, you can put some kind of a slider buttons, right? If you want, you can put some kind of a text field. Like let's say if that is the case, you want to use it, right? This is how my users will be there. Like let's say initially you don't have to create this button. You can just put this button, okay? And then you tend to see, hey, this is my user profile, right? And hey, and this is how my, yeah, you can see here. The wireframes what we are using is all black and whites and grays in color. So the focus remains. Here you can keep your placeholder. Here the content can be there. Here the image light can be here. Here the checked boxes can come. See? So now I'm just constructing the frames. I'm just constructing the frames and then a wire is getting connected towards it. Okay. And you can do that. Like let's say if you want, you can connect this and you can also duplicate this by pressing Control D. If you want, you can also add a one more frames towards it. You can just press cut and copy and you can do it. Right. So this is a manual way of keep on building the frames into as much as required as you want. Okay. Or else you can also go to this particular option. Okay. You can you can click this. You can click this Miro assist. Okay. Flow chart payment app. The moment when you create this kind of a prompt, then Miro assist AI will start generating the user flow very easily for you. And this is very common. In fact, if you are using FigJam, you can also use this AI to really create that. In fact, it is showing me a flow for a user, but it is not giving me wireframes. Okay. But anyway, this is not the correct one, but this is exactly the wireframes you can start building. Let's say, in case if you wanted to build it in Figma, let me show you that as well. Okay. I'm just opening the Figma screen live so that you can see how it's going to work. Yep. So when you open this, you tend to open Figma screen and you can press F so that you get a frames. Like let's say you can also put the iPhone 16 or whatever frames you want. You can bring that clarity over here. Okay. So if you want, you can start building your own screens or wireframes from it. Like let's say if you want, you can use this. Okay. If you want, you can create one placeholder for your text, placeholder for subheading, right? You can create that. Okay. If you want, you can create a something like this. If you want, you can use O also to create, see, something like this. Right? If you want also, you can see, see. So this is how your icons will be. This is how your text will be. This is how your main heading will be. This is how your text will be. So you are now building something like a basic wireframe for your team to communicate. Like let's say when you duplicate it, like let's say if the user is pressing this, okay, he will be given one particular heading, and it will, like let's say you can also bring more text towards it. So you can just little bit explain it. This is how the main content is, and this content will become little small, okay, and the explanation will start. Probably you can just put a heading over here, right? Like let's say you can also create a prototype by clicking prototype. See, the main difference between the other softwares and Figma is you can try prototyping it. This is not a tool to do any visual design. This is a tool to do wireframes. Okay, a basic level of edit can be done, but when you click this option, you can also use this pointer to create wireframes. Can you see here how the interactions can happen? Maybe on tap, I just have to navigate this action. You can do multiple level of action, but I'm just giving you a basic one, which is navigation. And the destination is this screen, right? We'll just rename it screen 2. We'll just rename this screen 1, right? So when you click this interaction, you just tend to see from screen 1 to screen 2. Animation is maybe just like, let's say, smart animate. We'll give that. Okay. So whatever effects you want to create, but for this, effects is not at all required. Like let's say for screen 3, if you have to build, like let's say if my user is pressing this kind of a button, maybe if I have to again go back to design, I have to press this option called designing. Okay, maybe if my user likes this particular product and the description he wants to buy, okay, so I can give a call to action for this, right? Main CTA, maybe I can use another bigger typeface which is 25. Okay, so I just want to give a main CTA here. So let's say if my user is pressing this button, I can again go and prototype it, and I can again connect it to this. Again, I can set all the animations, or maybe ease in, ease out, or maybe I can also create a different method. Like let's say even if the user scrolls up or scrolls down, I can still change his wireframe. I can do whatever control I want. Let's say if I want only a overlay, okay, maybe we'll see in the other video what is overlay and all these things. You can just create it. But as of now, I'm just showing you a basic wireframes how to do. So the trigger is what a people take the interaction. Action is what they wanted to actually do using using the software. Destination is where they wanted to go. They wanted to end it up in the screen 3 or 4 or wherever you wanted to go, and how the effect has to come. It is simple like making a PPT. Okay, but if you just go little deeper, you will understand there are a lot more actions also available for it. But this is enough as of now. Okay, so the moment when the user makes this call to action, then you tend to again decide some kind of another flow. Like let's say you can have some more option. Like let's say maybe during the checkout page you have to show the order. Okay, maybe you're just keeping this order. Okay, example I'm saying, like let's say your user has another order. Okay, maybe you can delete this part. Maybe you can just put one line, right? Right, so this is how our order number will be placed. And once the user is seeing that this is my order, this is my product details, this is the cart value, and then you can give another call to action. Okay, I'm just using control D for duplicating this. You can very well easily do. Okay, this is the option which is pay call to action. See, now I'm just using the basic option for planning my content, how I can create my call to actions, how I can plan my interactions. So this hardly took 10 minutes, maybe less than that, 5 minutes or something. This creates a very good amount of communication for your user. What kind of an interaction your user will go through? Let's say if your management comes and says, hey, I need to change this, you can just change that interaction very quickly because it's still a grayscale one. Imagine if you've created a full big design system, pixel by pixel, if you've edited everything, it's very difficult to change. The effort and the time is very, very large. Like, let's say, if I show you the example, can all of you see here? I'm just giving a prototype link, right? Takes a little time, right? So, this is my option. If I have to click this, then this is my second screen will look like. If I click this call to action, then this is my third screen looks like, right? Can all of you see here? So this is how my users will guide through. Like, let's say if I click here, this will go. If I click here, if I click main call to action, it will go like this. So the plan can be easily shown for your team in a more easier way. You can build as much as complex screens as you want. You can do it manually, or you can use the other option, which is called plugin. You can use this plugin called Wireframe Designer. It is very easy, and normally I tell all of my students to use this plugin because this can create a very larger, accurate wireframes, and you can scale up from there very easily. Wireframe for transaction app with login, space screen, beneficiary, and addition of funds screen to be shown. Don't worry about spelling mistake; it will take. So I'm just giving this plugin called Wireframe Designer. So now, can all of you see here? It is actually building a grayscale wireframe, which is somewhat very similar what we are looking at. Am I right or not? And see, it is taking me the text, it is giving me the placeholders, it is giving me the call to action, it is giving me how your page can really, really look like. Can all of you see this? From here also, you can start building your solution. Yeah, you can do it. It's much simpler. There are hundreds of plugins available. You can start using it. You can just create, hey, if my user clicks here, I can also prototype here, then the user will see the screen. Yeah, you can do it. So wireframes is just creation of frames and connecting it through a wire to show your team that this is what I'm thinking. Probably if your management says no, move this button over here, I don't want this circle, I wanted you to change it into a different direction. Like, let's say that is the case, you can change it to like this. It's very simple to change and then to scale up and then to replicate it. If you still want to use components here, you can use it so that all the placeholders will also change wherever you create this button for multiple use cases, for multiple uses, so that your time is even more saved perfectly, right? See? So this is very important when you're doing a product development lifecycle. That is why it is the core components of the UI, core components of the design thinking process, how to create boxes and placeholders and call to actions and hierarchy for your whole content. And you can add annotations, you can also add any kind of a notes where the designers can also find out what is the exact details he want to do. Like, let's say you can also add the content over here. You can give, hey, keep in mind the CTA should be blue in color, or competitor uses it. Put enter, that's it. So whenever the user is there, hey, yeah, I think I have to put it here. Okay, CTA is blue. That's it. So the designer, whoever is going to see this later, they'll be able to look at this. You can add as much as comments as you want, wherever you want. Hey, look through. Like, let's say I can also put any name if we have a collaboration. Like, let's say Kumari. Example I'm saying. If you want to also add, if you want to add an image for any reference, like let's say there's a one sample image which I want to add, something like this. I can do it. I can also put any emojis or expression so that my communication is very clear if my users are seeing this wireframes in the future, right? So now, can you see here? Each and every place, if you're collaborating with your team, they'll also come to know the annotations what you created, right? So this is exactly called wireframe. Okay, Jagdish, what are the types of wireframe? You can do paper prototyping or paper wireframe. It's very easy. You can also go back to one of my video where I did a 1 hour session on exactly paper prototyping. I showed you live in the YouTube. Now what we did is exactly called low fidelity, which is like a gray scale boxes. Mid fidelity wireframe is something like a little detailed level one. This is like little level one. This is like one level above the wireframes where you can go precisely and add little details towards the components, details towards the button, the radiuses, the corners, everything you can start creating little own. Like let's say if I have to really think, like let's say, hey, I need to create a little radius over here. Okay, I need to create a bold over here. This is going to be a little italic, so the typeface can be a little more higher. Like let's say it is 20 because this is a well proven typeface. Okay, and this size will be more readable for me. So what is exactly this corner? Is it not matching the sizes? So how does it respond to a website? How does it respond to mobile app? When you're thinking a little deeply about the UI and the interaction, you tend to go into mid fidelity. This is only after your management approves your low fidelity wireframes, and before that starts paper sketching, which is a paper sketching of wireframes. Once both of the stages are done, then you can do a very detailed high fidelity. This is like full screen building. We'll see in another video how to go pixel by pixel, creating frames, creating grid system, and start placing the elements, icon, text, interaction, prototype, call to action, everything. This takes a little more time. So for wireframes, this much is sufficient for you guys to start the learning process. Okay, why it is being used to this kind of a low fidelity wireframes is to now test your ideas. Mid fidelity wireframes is to get an approval from your management for creating a one level of go ahead for your concept. High fidelity is building the detailed solution for putting out in the market, for doing a usability study, or probably an extensive way of testing it. Once all these things are done, then the final product can be rolled out. See how much confusion it is avoiding if I do the wireframes very carefully. You know what? Many students don't do it. Vritika, one of my student, she had portfolio, but the thing is she's not able to create a clear wireframe and a portfolio details into her work. So it will not get selected with many recruiters at all because recruiters and designers look for the process inside the student. It's very important. So once she start rebuilding it, she has improved her navigation inside the portfolio very easily. So the point is she attended many interviews, but still she is trying for the job, but she could able to attend lot more interviews and the conversions become higher because recruiters and designers look for clarity in your process. That's a very important thing. I think I've showed you the live demo also with the three blank screens. You can use any blank screens, and I've showed you a little layout, call to action button, and you can use in FigJam or paper or anything also apart from the mainstream frames. Okay, and you can also use wireframes. I mean, you can also use AI tools such as UiZard. UiZard is an amazing tool, whimsical. You can use block UI design. Okay, you can use FigJam. You can also use Miro AI. I think I've showed you Miro manually you have to build. Miro AI will build you or user flow. If you're having a paid version of Miro, you can use Miro wireframes and prototype very easily. Previously it was there free, but now they've made it uh, now they made it subscription based. Okay, you can check that. And also chat GPT prompts can help you to do it. Wireframe layout for fintech onboarding. See, when you give a very specific prompt like this, your chat GPT will itself give you a clarity towards how you can use AI tools to also create more wireframes. And yeah, Miro AI already said about it. So there are a lot more AI tools. You can use multiple tools with respect to creating it. You can use Figma plugins, which I also said that. But why are we doing all these wireframes? It's a very important question. Grayscale reduces cognitive load, and people tend to only focus the layout. Decisions can be made faster. If your project is very confident, then your decision making is good. If you're just stuck with information overload with making so much of detail in your initial screens, first of all, your project will not even move. Wireframes is a mental simulation of how the solution really looks like. That is the reason designer has to go through it. In all the interviews, people see the structured process. I think I've told you. It proves that your concept clarity towards depth in UX is good, not just visuals. Mainly, it is used in wireframes in whiteboarding session. People ask you to do it live, just in case if you don't know, just what I did, you can also replicate that. And hiring managers value the process. In all of my podcast videos and classes and sessions, I only tell this point. People look for process. People don't want final visuals. Nowadays, AI can do better, right? Better visuals than anybody else. But the point is, you have to explain the process. Like, let's say if I'm hiring a person to cut a tree in my house, I don't want to know how much tree he has cut. I just wanted to know what is the process he used to cut this tree. Because my tree is dashing with the wall. My tree is falling onto the electric line. The tree is actually, if it's cut, it may fall on the head of the people who is going on the road. I should not block the traffic. I should not hit my neighbor. I should not hit the electric line. How does that guy cuts the tree? I would like to see his thought process. A smart guy will first shave the branches, he will keep a support, he will switch off the main line, and then he will start the work for cutting the tree slowly, slowly, slowly. See, this is how people recruit you. They don't want trees with who cut picture or something like you have cut 200 trees. People don't expect that kind of things in your portfolio. People expect process. Okay, it is a must have in the portfolio. I would like to give you some tools for you. You can read this book called About Face by Alan Cooper, UX book by Hatton and Pela. I think I've told you in the last video. Don't make me think. This is amazing book. Please do read it. Okay, and also you can use this tools called Balsamic, UI's art, Whimsical. You can start using it. Okay, and also if you're someone who is really interested in knowing more about this, I would highly recommend you to come and join our workshop, which is there in the above, which is there in the below video. Sometimes we may have it on Wednesday, sometimes we may have it on Sunday. You can just use that. And if you wanted to have a wireframe kit for you, you can just reply kit and you can show your learnings, what you got through the session, like top 3 takeaways. When my team sees that, you will automatically get a wireframe kit for you. And I would love to see the feedback of what you're creating flows and user flows and information architecture and wireframes, because I want to tell you that if you're not creating wireframes, you will not be able to move ahead in your process. So DM me wireframes for the top 3 learnings and I'll be able to give you some free takeaways for you to learn that. And also you can attend my Sunday workshop to also know what we offer you in a very personalized mentorship support so that we can help you grow into the next level. Tomorrow, let's discuss something else regarding the skeletal system of our body. Take care. Bye bye.